More than 40,000 babies are born each and every year with congenital heart defects, which are the most common of birth defects. According to kidshealth.org, these abnormalities are present at birth, and approximately 8 in every 1,000 newborns have congenital heart defects, ranging from mild to severe. If not caught at birth, it could be detected later in the teen years, when it could be too late. But it doesn't have to be, thanks to an organization called Mended Little Hearts. Leading the fight to help families struggling with congenital heart defects is Jennifer Page, who is the mother of a young actor named Max Page, best known as Little Darth Vader from the Super Bowl ad, and Dr. David Ferry, who's a leading cardiologist from Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, where Max was treated. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jennifer, let me start with you. How did you discover Max's issue?
We discovered at my 38-week appointment. I went in and they weren't getting a good heartbeat on him. So they took him emergency C-section, and then over the course of the next couple of days, they did some diagnostic testing and discovered that he had a pretty severe congenital heart defect called tautology of Fallot.
My goodness, and he's not done with surgeries.
He's not. He's had 9 total for many things, not all heart related, and he is going in again this summer to get his St. Jude medical pacemaker changed out. He is fully paced, and so he requires a new pacemaker about every 6 to 8 years.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Mom, did you have an idea that maybe something was wrong?
No clue.
Really?
Nothing. No, I mean, there was no, very few of us actually know ahead of time. So you're immediately thrown into this whirlwind, and you're still there. You've just had surgery now yourself. Your child's in the NICU, or they're being, whisked away, airlifted to a hospital far from you. And then you're just stuck. And that's why we're so excited about this partnership with Mended Little Hearts and St. Jude Medical, because there's a link now that you can get a lot of these questions, like what should we even be asking the surgeons? What should we be looking for in a heart center if you have time? Sometimes you don't have time. And then just later on, what are some things to look for neurologically? Or like Max now going through surgery as a 10-year-old is going to be much different than obviously when he was an infant. So he has his own things and emotional things we got to go through. So it's just a great resource, and it also immediately plugs you into a community, and you're not alone, because when this happens, you're extremely isolated, and it's the loneliest thing ever because you don't have any reference point for it. So we just want people to plug in and know there's tons of hope.
Yeah, well, Dr. Ferry, I want to talk to you more about that here in just a second. Jennifer, let me ask you first, how is Max now? Has he got limitations? Is he rambunctious like other little boys?
I mean, he does have limitations. To say he doesn't wouldn't be honest. I mean, he can't do contact sports, and a lot of cardiac sports are difficult. But we steer him into what he can do, and that is baseball, golf, swimming, has tons of friends, loves to act. He's doing a movie right now. So he's able to live this full life in between all these procedures. It's just helping him mend and stay current along the way. And he lives this great big full life, and it's tons of fun. So that's the message too, is even if you require more than one procedure, it's not the end of the world. It's actually a blessing, because he can do more and more with each intervention.
Dr. Ferry, you work at the LA hospital where Max got his pacemaker. How often is this caught early on?
It's usually diagnosed before the baby has symptoms. Typically it's from a murmur, or sometimes the baby can look a little bit blue at or shortly after birth, maybe poor feeding. So usually it's picked up prior to any major problems, and then quickly operated upon, and the operations are 98% successful. Right. And so there's a great hope for someone who has Max's problem.
Okay, so let's say it's not caught early, it's going to show up later in life. When does it usually present itself?
Usually this particular problem, tetralogy of Fallot, occurs, usually it's picked up at birth or shortly after birth due to a murmur. Right. Rarely they're not picked up until later, but usually it's evident, and the families need to trust their instincts. If something's not right with the baby, like poor feeding or poor color, they listen to grandma, they listen to themselves, and take the child to the pediatrician or family practitioner quickly for an evaluation.
Right. Now, we've heard the stories of teenage athletes. Nothing seems to be wrong, and suddenly they collapse on the field. They pass away because of a heart problem. Is it linked to this that we're talking about?
No, those are typically not congenital defects. Congenital means that you're born with it. These are more abnormalities that develop over time.
Okay.
And sometimes there is no symptom until something sudden happens. I mean, some of that plays into family history, and that's where family history is important also. But all this information is available to parents who have questions. This partnership with St. Jude Medical and Mended Little Hearts is at sjm.com/WeHeartKids. So we want to encourage families to be able to go to that website to answer a lot of questions that they might have.
Absolutely. Dr. Ferry, thank you so much. Jennifer, thank you for sharing your story. Let me ask you real quick, are we going to see Max anytime soon on TV?
You know, you'll see him in about 6 months. He's filming a movie right now, so you'll see him pretty soon.
Can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to
Thanks.
explain this important topic. If you'd like to know more about the Mended Hearts program or read the blog about Max's most recent surgery, just log on to our website at WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page.
And along with Mended Little Hearts that Jimmy just talked about, there's also another organization helping Little Hearts here on Delmarva, and that's March of Dimes. Joining us today to tell us more are Carrie Bisco and Melanie Holt, co-chairs for the Worcester County March for Babies and longtime volunteers. Ladies, thank you for joining us
Thanks
this
for
afternoon.
having us. Thank you.
Melanie, I'm going to start with you. You have a very personal connection with March of Dimes. Tell me about it.
I do. Almost 12 years ago, I went into premature labor with my twin daughters, Madison and Emily. They were born 7.5 weeks early. They spent 10 days in the NICU here in Salisbury.
Yeah, what was that like? I mean, did you know that something was wrong?
No, I had no idea. I had no clue. My water broke on one of the babies because they were in separate sacs, and I went to the hospital. They tried to prolong the labor as long as they could, and they couldn't do it. So they were born, luckily, pretty healthy. But no, I had no idea.
Now, what kind of help did you receive during this time that they were in NICU?
Well, luckily, I didn't have to utilize the March of Dimes because my girls were relatively healthy. They were basically in there just to get to 5 pounds each because they were 4'8" and 4'10" each when they were born. Emily had some breathing problems when she was first born, so we weren't allowed to touch her a whole lot. But luckily for me, in my situation, I didn't have to utilize the March of Dimes, but like many other parents do.
Yeah. So how are Emily and Madison now?
They're fine, very healthy, almost 12 years old, playing sports in school, doing very well.
Awesome. That is great. Okay, Carrie, so what does March of Dimes do for babies here on Delmarva?
Well, here's a rundown of what we do using the acronym of CARES. CARES is the community grants. We provide programs to help moms-to-be, such as the Stork Nest in Dorchester County. It's an incentive program that rewards moms that attend prenatal visits on a point system. It gives them the opportunity to visit the Stork Nest and get anything for free from diapers to car seats. Advocacy, we have an advocacy program that helps moms-to-be on the Eastern Shore get care and services to improve their health and the health of their baby. Research, we've researched the serious problems that threaten our babies and work on treating and preventing them. And education, our website provides the latest pregnancy health information in English and Spanish. Health experts provide personal answers to moms' questions. We also work with local agencies, hospitals, and health departments to get their educational materials. A lot of what causes prematurity is unknown, but there are instances that can be prevented with education and good prenatal care. And support through online community and hospitals on the Eastern Shore. We offer information, comfort to families with newborn babies in the intensive care.
And that's very important support. I imagine it's very important for mothers who are going through this.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we can help. What can I do?
You can walk.
Yeah, okay.
Come out and walk. We do have this Saturday, May the 2nd, we have our March for Babies walk on Assateague Island. It's a great event. It's beautiful. You get to see nature. You get to have a chance to go up on the beach. Registration starts at 9 and the walk begins at 10. And then on Sunday, May the 3rd, we have a walk on Preston Autoplex in Hurlock. Their registration starts at noon and the walk is at 1. We have our own team, and Melanie and I, over the past 3 to 4 years, have raised over $10,000 for March of Dimes Walk for Babies. We've had a dinner dance, silent auction. This year alone, so far, we've raised $2,360, and our goal was $5,000. So you can join us on Saturday.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful weekend. Lots of people head out for this walk. That has to help you. I mean, that really warms your heart, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay.
And when you bring your kids, too,
and bring your kids
they
as well.
can get involved.
Okay, well, let's go over those details one more time. We do have the walk on May 2nd. That's at Assateague State Park. Registration begins at 9. Walk begins begins at 10, and then the following day, Sunday, it's going to be in Perlock. Registration begins at noon. Walk begins at 1 p.m. Okay, Melanie, one more question for you. I just have to ask you, what would you say to parents who are going through this right now?
I would say to get educated on premature labor and birth defects throughout your pregnancy to try to help prevent things like this. There's nothing to prevent it per se, but certainly education and doing the right thing, and and then just know that the March of Dimes is there for support should you need it. Luckily I didn't, but if you need it, they are there.
They are there. All right, Melanie, Carey, thank you so much, and thank you for all you do for March of Dimes. And if you would like to learn more about March of Dimes, visit WBOC.com. Click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, when it comes to our kids, we'll do just about anything to keep them safe. And when it comes time to take a ride in the car, that should be no different. DelmarvaLife's Sean Stryker is at the Sherwood of Salisbury dealership with how to properly install a child safety seat and the importance of doing so. Sean?
Lisa, well, this morning I read a statistic. The CDC is reporting that motor vehicle-related injuries is the leading cause of death amongst children. There's a little bit of good news, though, is those injuries are preventable if you take the proper steps. Now, here to tell us some of those steps is Trooper First Class Chris Delvecchio with the Maryland State Police and Matt Romanowski of Sherwood of Salisbury. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. Trooper, I want to start over here with you. Now, you're on the road every day, so you must know how important these safety seats are.
They're very important. As most people know, that children's bodies are not as well developed as your average adult, so their bodies can't take as much of an impact if they're involved in a collision. So with the proper precautions taken with the right child safety seat, then you can prevent a lot of injuries.
Now, I hear there's booster seats and there's safety seats, but I have no idea what the difference is. Can you explain that to me?
Absolutely. It starts off your newborn babies and your small infants, they're in rear-facing only seats. And then from there, as they get a little bit bigger, they graduate to a forward-facing seat, which are both equipped with a harness to keep the child secure. As they graduate from that, get a little bit bigger, then they have just the regular booster seat where they can be just seat belted in with the regular seat belt that's provided in the vehicle.
Now, Matt, I'm wondering, does it matter what vehicle a person is driving when it comes to, if they have children and if they're using a safety seat?
Well, I think with today's manufacturers, the vehicles that are out there, a lot of the vehicles, or most of them, are very safe. Clearly, you don't want to put a child safety seat in a two-seater because you don't want to put a child safety seat in the front seat. But, the easiest accessible vehicles are a minivan. We're going to do a demonstration right now, or an SUV or a larger SUV. They're a little safer.
Now, you guys are actually holding a car safety seat inspection in a couple weeks. Tell me about that.
Yeah, sure. Our off-site event is at the center at Salisbury at Boscov's, and on Saturday, May 9th, you can bring your vehicle over with your child safety seat, and we'll have officers there to look over it to make sure that it's installed properly and it's safe for your kids.
Well, thanks so much. Now, Trooper Delvecchio is going to show us here briefly how to put in a car seat safely and properly. What's the first thing we have to do?
The first thing you want to make sure you want to have your owner's manual for your vehicle and the owner's manual for the child safety seat. Any questions you have can usually be found there. First thing you want to do is make sure that the seat is locked in nice and tight. There's two specific ways to do that. One, you can utilize the seat belt, which comes obviously with your vehicle. As you can see, I've kind of pre-fed it through this child safety seat. It does have to get fed through the back here. You want to let all the slack out, buckle it in just like you're buckling up normally. Take all the slack out of the seatbelt. You'll hear a click coming from the vehicle's retractor, and as the seatbelt goes back into the retractor, you'll see it locks, and that ensures that the seat itself stays where it's at.
There. Now, there's also a lot of new cars are coming with kind of clips built into the seat.
That's correct. Every vehicle nowadays is equipped with what's called a lower anchor and tether for children, also just shortened to be a latch system. What that is, each child safety seat will come equipped with something similar to this. It's like a little metal hook, or it'll be a little metal clip. And each vehicle, down here you can see, usually protrudes from the seat a little bit. That's the lower anchor that's actually welded into the frame of the car.
And it just clips right in.
You reach it in, you can hear it click. And once you do that, once it clicks in all the way, there's you can tighten the belt and make sure that the seat doesn't go anywhere.
Seems like a lot easier than the seat belts, and a lot of new cars come with that. Well, if you want to hear that information again, or more information on the car safety seat check put on by Sherwood of Salisbury, all you have to do is visit our website, WBOC.com, and click on our picture at the top of the page. Lisa, back to you.
Very important information. Well, from keeping our babies safe to teaching them a new language. Up next, how local moms and dads are choosing to teach their children early and the incredible science behind it. Well, we're all excited to see Sean's final product after he spent a day in the life of a baker. Later, see how he fared and see how we fare in the DelmarvaLife kitchen for our peach pie eating contest. We get a big taste of Dover Days. DelmarvaLife, we'll be right back.